And our guest this morning is Sam Statland, who is longtime chamber friend, chamber member, chamber leader, if you will, from Statland Katz for many, many, many years. And Sam has been involved in the political realm. Even though he tries to get out of it, he keeps getting pulled back into county politics and county things like this redistricting. So he's going to talk to us a little bit about the Redistricting Commission. As most of you know, the voters voted to extend the number of districts in Montgomery County from 9 to 11. And so that means we have to figure out where those 2 new council members are going to come from, because they're not going to be at large. They're going to be in 2 new districts. And that's the project that Sam's group has been working on. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Sam, and he has some slides, so Julie can pull up the slides.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with the chamber members, longtime association, know a lot of you guys. And it's been a great ride in Silver Spring. It certainly has come back from the 70s. And it makes me very, very happy to see where it stands now and all the activity that's going on and how well the chamber's done because of Jane's great leadership. You owe me a nickel, Jane.
I do. I'll pay up. Thank you.
So our redistricting committee task is, we'll go to the next slide, please. So as you all see, beginning in 2020, we're going to increase the in-district representation, 5 districts to 7. And the new districts must be drawn based on the 2020 population. And the charter requires redistricting every 10 years, and most of what we're going to discuss is part of county law. As you can see by this screen, these are the current 5 districts, and from that 5, we have to go to 7. And the reason, of course, we're doing this is because the voters felt that more representation was needed, especially to the top part of District 1, lower left, and District 2 and District 4. People felt underrepresented in the border areas of the county and also felt underrepresented because of ethnicity. Next slide, please. So our mission is to literally draw maps. And at this point in time, let me give you a little bit of background. So we have had 5 meetings so far. We've had presentations from Park and Planning and the Board of Elections and legal presentations on what's required by law, and have been tasked with, first of all, learning how to draw a map. So Park and Planning has created a software program where we've been given and are being taught literally how to draw these maps. And the maps must be equal in population, which is 150,000 in each district, and they must be compact so that we don't have a gerrymandering situation. And ethnic and racial groups must be identified to avoid diminishing their voting rights by either packing populations in a single district or splitting populations that dilutes impact. And that also has been, a very interesting complaint that we've had throughout the county. But when you actually look at the representation at the state legislature, we have pretty good representation. Where we lack representation is at the council level. Next slide, please. So these ground rules are actually within the county charter: equal population, compactness, contiguity, that the districts have to be connected. And I'll give you a good example of that. I'm down here in southern part of Montgomery County, Legislative District 18 at point in time, which is basically from Chevy Chase over to Four Corners, was connected by Blair High School and the church in the middle of Colesville Road to reach the communities on the other side of the road. That was considered to be contiguous. And of course, we have to take in consideration of a minority representation and preserve political subdivisions, which means we don't want to divide a town. We don't want half of Silver Spring to be in Council 4 and the other half to be in Council 1. And we have to preserve communities of interest. which leads me to the next slide. This is my ask, and the reason that we trying to reach out and present to as many groups as possible. We want to include as the input of as many people as possible in what communities should be located in a district, where they should be separated, what the boundaries should be. So we need you to reach out. Right now, where we're lacking the most is in the upper county. We're lacking input from basically the county line, Montgomery County and Howard County and Frederick County, all the way across that border, which includes Littonsville, Poolesville, Darnestown, Mount Airy. We need input from these various communities, then coming down towards Gaithersburg and Germantown. And we also need to speak to more and more groups within our African American community. So just think about all the different people that you know, and just think about all of the contacts you may have with other groups not related to the chamber, and encourage them to get a hold of me. And I'll tell you that my email is very easy. It's samstatland@verizon.net, or you can contact our commission. We meet on the second Wednesday of the month at 5 p.m. All of our meetings are live streamed on the county Facebook page. You don't need to be a Facebook member to do that. And we have our own website, of course, and all of our recorded meetings, what's on our agenda, where we stand and what we're learning and what we need are published there. At this point in time, the biggest deficit that we have, although I'm giving you fresh information that I learned the day before yesterday, the census data that we receive from the federal government has to come first to the state, where the state looks at prison populations, and then by Montgomery County, or by state law, reallocates prison populations to where they originally lived before incarceration. And that is a time-consuming process. And from a federal point of view, the federal government has not been very helpful with that. In fact, we've never gotten information out of the Fed, and this law was on the books 10 years ago, but that has to be done. So we learned yesterday that even though the Fed has delayed the information, hopefully we will get that information by September 1, which then will be massaged by the state, and we will have the information in Montgomery County by October 1. And then we then have to make a presentation showing our maps to the county for their approval, county council, by November 22nd, which will let us be in time for a timely election. And who does that affect? Well, it affects most those people who are running for election within a councilmanic district, because they're not going to know what district they're actually running in until it's published, which will be somewhere around, well, our report will go in November 22nd, but it could be as late as December before people actually know what districts they're running in. And as you know, right now, people are running, in a district seat. Once our report goes out, they can then change and modify where they originally said they were going to run into what district they're actually going to run on. And they actually have till February 2nd to do that. We go to slide 7, please. So this gives you just an idea of the growth in Montgomery County. We're going to have over 1 million residents. It's an increase of 75,000 minimum since 2010, probably closer to 100,000 people. Next slide, please. This shows you the top regions of origin, countries of origin within the county, which also relates to language. And if you see on your ballots, from the Board of Elections, populations of over 3% have ballots printed in their language, or the availability to get translations of the ballots. And Montgomery County, using a term that all of us despise now, is a minority majority county. There are more people of color in Montgomery County than there are white folk. And this shows you that breakdown. And combining all of the Latino population, it's 39%. Asian population is 36%. And the African American is 17%. So it just shows you the breakdown of the county. Next slide, please. And this shows you the diversity of the county and how it's changed. And you can see how the non-Hispanic white population has dropped, where the Black and African American population has gone up, but not a lot. And that the Asian Pacific is increased, as well as the Hispanic has increased. And next slide, please. This shows you the diversity of population throughout the county. The diversity of population throughout the county. And the yellow band that and the yellow band that you see is basically minority population. And the dark blue areas are white population. And in the middle, it's mixed. So when you look at this county and you look at where we are now and the existing districts that we have, carving or changing, modifying, going from 5 to 7 individual districts is kind of challenging. And in fact, it's the main reason why I really wanted to participate, because I think that what we draw this year will last for at least 10 years, as we know, but could be how the county gets divided from a voter participation standpoint on the council for the next 20 years at least. And that, folks, really is the end of the slide presentation. So if we could end this and put my smiley face back up there we go. I'll come back to you guys and say what questions you have and how can you help us expand our outreach to more minority groups and groups in the far ridges of Montgomery County, because we want their input. You know, when you get involved with this, of any project, really political or not, what you don't want to hear at the end is, gee, I didn't know about that. I've been left out. And I guarantee you, as much as we try to outreach, we will hear that, and we're trying to reduce it as much as possible, because the more involvement we have within our citizens, the better it is for everyone to move forward in a democratic process. So help, we need your help. Anybody have questions?
Well, Sam, I assume that you're talking to the folks of the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber, or somebody is as well, and the former Clarksburg Chamber, because those kind of hit those outreaching areas up county in terms of their at least the members.
Jane, I have sent an email out to every chamber group in Montgomery County.
Okay. And
this group, you were number one on the response, and I truly appreciate that. And I think we've heard from Gaithersburg, the Gaithersburg area. But if you could use your good office to send an email out asking them to set up a presentation, that would be greatly appreciated. I mean, that would be really, really appreciated. Yeah. We need them, and we're not hearing from them.
Yeah, and I'm happy to do that. And Avi just, who's just listening in by phone, just texted me and said that he would be happy to reach out to Leadership Montgomery if that would be helpful as well. I don't know if you're doing any presentations with them.
Not yet, but that would be a huge help as well.
Okay.
We've hit all of the, the low-hanging fruit has been more or less contacted.
Okay.
All the Democratic members of the groups within the Democratic Central Committee and the Republican Central Committee. They've gotten 1 or 2 emails asking. I think at this point in time, we've run in 3 weeks, we have about 15 to 16 presentations lined up. But our biggest efforts is in the Latino community and the African American community and the business community. and of course the provision, the areas of the outlying areas that they seem to be the hardest to get a hold of.
Okay. Obviously got one more comment, but I think Daniel had his hand up. So I'm going to go to Daniel. Did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, well, really a comment. I just wanted to, first of all, thank Sam for the presentation. And definitely I would want to help reach the Black community. As I'm not sure if you remember me, but I worked in the legal administration for 12 years and worked with both the African and Caribbean communities. But again, we have a Black collective, which we've been doing work throughout the county, but more specifically work in the greater Silver Spring, White Oak, Buttonsville, Briggs Cheney area as well. So just let me know, in terms of what I can and how I can help. And I'll definitely be able to put together not only an event for many within the Black community, but more specifically the Black immigrant community. And I'll be able to also provide language capacity, like I have volunteers who can interpret in Amharic and French.
Daniel, that would be terrific. And, I believe in the KISS formula, as most of us do. So what I would encourage you to do is set up the meeting. Just set up as many meetings as you possibly can. Let me know what dates you want to run them. There are 11 commissioners. This time there are 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, member of the Green Party, 2 basically independents. So no one party has a majority on this commission. Historic. You have to build bridges to get things done and to draw an equal and fair map, and fairness is our goal. So if you could just go out, start right now and set up as many groups as you can, I can make sure that a commissioner is there to make a presentation. We can coordinate dates. And again, my email is Sam Statland. It's SAMSTATLAND @verizon.net. And my home phone number is 301-949-1058. So Daniel, the ball is in your court. Please have fun doing this. I think people are interested in this, or at least they'll get focused in it. I don't want them focused too late. The earlier, the better for their input. So if you can do that, that would be terrific. But do you need more information from me?
Yeah, well, I apologize. I'm actually in the car, so I'm not able to write down all what you just put in. So if someone,
We'll take care of it. I'll get it to
thank you
you.
so much. Thank
I'll
you.
make the connection.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
Great.
Avi's asking, what about the churches and the temples? Do you have a way to reach out to churches and temples, particularly
Okay.
for?
I don't believe anybody has reached out to them, Avi, but if you can do that, it's the same KISS procedure. Call up a group, tell them that you'd like, see if they'd be interested in a presentation. Get back to us and we will have a presentation. We are going to do at this point in time 2, town hall type things. They're difficult for the county to do. Hopefully there'll be more. So the more in contacts we can do to religious-based groups, the better. So yeah, Avi, if you can help us with that, that would be a great help. And again, if Jane would send my contact information, keep it simple, call somebody up, ask them if they would be interested, and we will get somebody there to make a presentation to this group. And the slideshow changes as we move forward. This is the 3rd edition of the slideshow, and this edition was published this week. Are you with me on?
We got him. I'll make the connection.
Great.
He can help.
That's great.
Ray?
Hey, Sam.
Yeah, Ray.
This is more broad. This may not necessarily be for the commission. It may be for the county government as a whole, but I'm curious what efforts are being made or to really connect with the general population broadly. I just anecdotally, I see close to zero awareness, both of the redistricting process and particularly the change in the districts from 5 to 7. Not just even among the general people I know, but among people who are pretty dialed into these questions. So I think we really, we being the community as a whole, need to figure out some way to raise overall awareness in addition to reaching out to specific places like churches, ethnic communities, et cetera. So I don't know what's going on there, but I would hope we have something in the works.
Yes, we do have different programs in the works. For example, we've asked all the councilmen, to post information on their website. Some have, most have not. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I think more of us that have been engaged in these types of activities are aware. Those of us who are involved in expanding from 5 to 7 are aware. What the law passed, it's like everybody says, well, that's not done. I'll see you when I vote. Not focusing on what they voted for or how to make it better. So we're going back to those guys as well. Anybody Ray, that you think should be engaged, you're more than
100%.
welcome. A copy of the slide presentation. I'll be glad to send it to you. Everything that we've talked about is public information. So
yeah, no, and I'd be happy if you did, and absolutely, I kind of bend people's ear on this topic anyway. So more information is good. I just worry a little bit that it is a major change that's coming down the pike, and that the public awareness seems alarmingly low.
well, it's historic. I really think it's historic, which is why I wanted to participate in it.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with you. That's why we've been doing, outreach right now is our most important topic. Yes, we're learning how to draw the maps, but we can only take that so far until the state gives us the actual data. And that's going to be an adjustment at the end. So our total focus until that happens, which is probably, mid-September, maybe into October, is community outreach. That's what our whole thrust is. And we've given presentations to, some very large groups. Allied Civic is going to receive a presentation. Of course, chamber groups are very helpful. The Democratic Party. Surprisingly, we're also lacking input from the Republican Party. And trying to get them to participate for some reason doesn't seem to be easy. And they, of course, with one of the biggest groups concerned of underrepresentation. So it's.
Sam, can you tell us who the people are on the commission? I mean, and what's the demographic of the people who are actually your colleagues on the commission?
If you'll give me a second, I'd be glad to do that.
Okay, no problem.
Of course, better planning would have been to have this in my hand, which I usually
Okay.
do. Well, Ahmad Dean is a professor, and he is representative of the Islamic community, and he's been very active in outreach, done very well. Laura Ard is a Republican down in Chevy Chase. She has contacts with different voting groups and women's groups. Marianne Cordier is our chair, and she is Latino and an attorney doing immigration work. Keisha Morris Desir is very active in several women's groups. Arthur Edmonds is a businessman in the Gaithersburg area, and he's been involved in Democratic politics for a long, long time, and is a member of the African American community as well. You all know Valerie Evans. She was a member of the county council representing Silver Spring. Bruce Goldenshine, I believe, is mayor of Gaithersburg at one point in time and an active Democrat. Jason, I don't know Jason Mackenstein very well, but he seems to be active in the Up County. Namini Rubin, I don't know that well, but she's active. Of course, myself. David Steen is an activist, and he is a teacher at Blair High School. And as part of his class instruction, he teaches mathematics and includes segments in redistricting. So David and myself and Arthur and Bruce are the 4 Democrats. Laura is an independent. Ahmad is an independent. Mariana is a independent, and the other 4 are our Republicans. Does that help?
A little bit. What's the average age? Are there, you split up by ages? Do you have any young people, I guess? Because one of the questions was, you know, you need a social media campaign. You need somebody who can, do you have a Facebook page? Do you have a Twitter setup? Because a lot of the challenges and a lot of the stuff that we heard, like I know during the pandemic, a lot of the criticism, then a lot of the other criticism that we're not represented. I saw a lot of that on social media. And I wonder if the group would have, you know, maybe the guy who's a teacher at Blair could find a student who'd be willing to help you set up a Facebook type page where you could post things and get comments and get input and get feedback.
That's a really great idea, and I will certainly bring it up next Wednesday at our meeting. But we do lack social media, although, you know, I'm probably the oldest member of the group. And of course, and we have people probably from their 30s up, I would say, but not too many people younger than 30 or maybe even mid 30s. So I think that type of outreach is a great idea, and I will certainly bring it up.
Oh. Other questions? Okay. Other ideas? Courtney from my staff just piped in or just joined in. So we will pull this video and we'll put it on in our newsletter, a link to it in our newsletter next week. And we'll encourage people to look at it, encourage people to get involved, send people to your website, because you're right, this is important. And I don't know whether people just had other things, but I'm a little disappointed that a lot of the people who did sign up did not make it this morning. But because this is very important, and I think Sam's right, it will dictate how our county is divided and what the voter group looks like over at least the next 10 years and over a long time. So it's an important exercise, and other people, and everybody should be involved in it. I agree with that. So we'll do what we can. I will reach out to my colleagues at the other chambers to encourage them to put something together, and we will send Sam your contact information, not only to everybody that did come this morning and that did attend this morning, but also to the other folks who registered and weren't able to make it. So
Great.
Will you send the presentation as well?
we will send the presentation as well.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. We can share the slides. Okay.
I want to thank you all. It's always great to present to the chamber. And I hope you guys have a wonderful summer here in good old Washington, D.C. Y'all take care now.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sam.
Bye.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Sam.